the MP curve is drawn on the graph of the real interest rate and the output gap. So let's put the real interest rate here R, the output gap Y bar here. So MP curve shows the interest rate are determined by the Federal Reserve, and it's the horizontal curve. So suppose that's MP curve. So MP here, you can imagine it may stand for the monetary policy, because the Federal Reserve is the agency that determines the interest rate for the economy. So let's assume that's the initial MP curve. It will determine the initial real interest rate. With IS curve downward sloping, we actually can know what's the initial equilibrium output, or we can say what's the initial output gap Y bar 0. If the Fed decide to increase the real interest rate, what happened? The whole MP0 curve will shift upwards to MP1. So MP curve shift upward. With the shift of the MP curve, interest rate will raise to R1. So this shift represented by 1, and we can find the new equilibrium intersection. So this determined the new equilibrium output gap. It will be Y1 bar. So which means output gap Y bar declined. What's the reason? Again, we have to use this equation. Aggregate expenditure equals C plus I plus G plus NX. If interest rate R goes up, people's consumption goes down, because people will borrow less money from the bank to buy house, to buy cars. Similarly, firm borrow less money from the bank to make investment, to buying the equipment, machine, buildings. Net export also goes down, because higher level of the interest rate will push up the value of the domestic currency, make export more expensive. So higher level of the interest rate will reduce consumption, reduce investment, reduce net export, which lead to the low level of the aggregate expenditure. And with the Keynesian cross model, we know the output level will drop. If output level drop, the output gap Y bar dropped as well. So let's provide the theoretical foundation behind this. When the real interest rate increased by the Federal Reserve, the MP curve shift upward, but it will cause the output gap or real GDP to decline. Of course, the opposite case is decrease the real interest rate by the Fed. And you can imagine everything will go to the opposite direction. The MP curve will shift downward to the MP2. So which means the interest rate goes down to R2, and this lower level of the interest rate will stimulate the economy, because low level of interest rate means low level of the cost of the borrowing money. Consumption, investment, net export increase. It will lead to the higher level of aggregate expenditure and higher level of the output. So which means the output gap will increase. So that's how the shift of MP curve can affect the equilibrium output or output gap on our model here.